Hello, my name is Spencer Polarski, and this is my game Remap. Remap is a local multiplayer 2D tank shooter game. It is a result of my 4 years of study at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts game design program, of which I am a student in my senior year. The central conceit of this game is that all the keybinds are randomized at the start of every round and multiple times throughout each round. Because of this, and the fact that most of the interesting stuff happens off-screen, I ran 2 controller visualizers at the same time as the game so you can see all the inputs on screen. So the first round out of this best of 9 is always standard controls to get players into the game. Sticks to move and triggers to dash and shoot. This gives players a baseline of what controls there are and what they do, as well as gives players who aren't as good with the random controls a chance of getting a win in. However, you'll notice that once a player hits one of the remap buttons on the map or enters the next round, the game changes significantly, as players have to find the new controls as fast as possible to get an advantage over the opposing player. This moment of desperation to try to move or shoot is what I was trying to capture with this game. The feeling of an enemy coming at you and trying to find that button that dashes before they can secure the kill is what makes this game fun. To get more into the controls of this game, as that is the experimental aspect of it, Remap uses basic tank controls seen in other games like Atari's Combat, but with additional actions available. There will always be forward and backwards, as well as turn left and turn right. These commands will always be on complementary buttons, so for example, if A is move backwards, then Y must be move forwards, and if left trigger is turn left, then right trigger is turn right. The dash and shoot buttons behave as expected. There is a confetti button that just gives a burst of color, and there is also a spin out button that causes the players to lose control of their tank for a second. So while players are trying to find their controls for the first time, they might accidentally hit the spin out button and lose control. The game is in very early prototyping right now, so none of the visual assets are implemented yet, but those 3 circles on the screen are called remap buttons. When one player collides with a remap button, it will, after a brief countdown, entirely randomize players' controls depending on which button was activated. Remap remaps the red player, green remaps the green player, and the teal button in the middle randomizes both players. These buttons add a level of strategy to the game beyond just finding the right controls and killing the enemy. It allows for players to play around which buttons they find first, and if they're taking longer to find shoot, they can hit the enemy's remap button to buy more time, or hit the middle button to completely start over. Some players will opt to immediately seek out the opponent's button, while others will try to go for the kill. As well, when a player is destined to remap, there is a countdown timer over their character, showing how much time is left before they have to find all their controls again. This gives the game an extra bit of tension and allows for more big moments. Remap takes an old concept like a tank shooting game and turns it into a mental challenge. Finding the first set of movement controls might be easy, but when you're face to face with an opponent, remembering which out of the 8 available buttons is shoot can be difficult to remember. Then finding which button can dash you out of a bad situation afterwards can lead to moments where you just barely escape an enemy's bullet. Then once you add in the bullets bouncing everywhere and confetti cluttering up the screen, even just keeping track of your character can pose a challenge. While on the surface, Remap could seem like just another tank arcade game, underneath is a challenge of keeping as many balls in the air as possible. And when that kind of challenge is complicated by competitive stress, it almost always leads to yelling as both players try to desperately find which button is shoot before the opponent does. Notice how the players will frantically hit buttons when they're near each other, and while sometimes it can work out with both players looking competent, other times it just leads to spinning tanks throwing confetti. And that is what this game is trying to do. To take that stress that comes from forgetting which button does what at a critical moment and turn that into a fun party game. While Remap might be difficult to grasp at first, it is deceptively easy to understand once you get your hands on it, and you'll only get better at it with time. This game is obviously in its very early stages and is in active development, so what you see here will likely be nothing like what the game will actually look like in a couple months. I'm still a student, so my time is not unlimited. I have yet to do an art pass, and major improvements like additional maps and power-ups are on the horizon, but I think this is a novel idea, and I thought it could fit in your experimental games section. Thank you.